Hashem Yisbarach. Shalom Shalom L'Rochach L'Karv L'M'tayim. Omar Hashem Fasiv. So, this week's Parshas Vaera, have an interesting phenomenon in the Psukim. It starts off a story. Moshe's talking, Hashem's talking to Moshe, telling him. Moshe goes to tell the people. Tells him, go tell Am Yisrael the four Lashonos of Geula, V'Tzeisi, V'Tzalti, V'Ga'alti, V'Lakachti, one of the most amazing pep talks of all time, where we're drinking 4 cups every Pesach. It flopped. Lamaisa, when he went and told them, V'lo shamu al Moshe, Mikotze Ruach, Avodah Kasha, they couldn't hear it. But in between, where Hashem gives Moshe this mitzvah and this chizuk, and where Moshe actually goes to do it, you suddenly have this very strange, like non sequitur thing of genealogy. In the second Aliyah, Perek Vav Pasuk Yud Dalid, suddenly Eila Roshei Beit Avotam. And by the way, here's the main families: Reuven Bechor Yisrael. And it goes to Reuven's family, Shimon's family, Levi's family, gives it the yichus of Moshe. And Aaron says they're the ones who spoke to Paro. Skipping ahead to Pasuk Chav Zayin, Hema v'davrim al Paro melech Mitzrayim l'tzias b'nei Yisrael Mitzrayim hu Moshe v'Aaron. And then, like, it gets back. Vahi bayom diber Hashem el Moshe beretz Mitzrayim v'diber Hashem el Moshe l'amor Ani Hashem daber el Paro melech Mitzrayim es kosher ni daber elecha. And then you have a little more back and forth between Moshe and Hashem, and right, and I'm sorry, Moshe. I said it a bit off. Hashem gave Moshe the mitzvah of the Daled Lashonos with a whole beautiful pep talk. Tam Yisrael, Hashem's going to take you out. He went and told them that. Then they didn't hear him. Then they couldn't listen to him. That's already Perek Vav Pasuk Tet, that Moshe goes and tells them, and Lo Shemu al Moshe. And then Hashem says to Moshe, new thing, go talk to Paro. Then you have the genealogy, and then you have Moshe going to talk to Paro, and a little bit of back and forth with Hashem telling him, you'll have Aaron will speak for you, and so on. But the genealogy is this amazing thing that just appears there. We should make sure that we know who Moshe and Aaron are. Okay, but if so, just do Levi. What's going on? Why Pitom we have Reuven and Shimon and Levi? Very strange. So Rashi says, in Yudalid, mitoch shehus kach liaches shivto shel Levi ad Moshe v'Aaron b'shvil Moshe v'Aaron itchil yachsam derech olam. Really, the point was to get just to Moshe, but he started from the beginning. Still strange. So then he brings from the Psikta Gedola Raisi the Fisha Kinturam Yaakov Aviam, because Yaakov in Vayechi, like we said, spoke words of rebuke to Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Remember, we said told them all words of rebuke at the time of his death, when he was gathering everyone around for bracha. Chazar katuv yachsam kan levadam. So therefore, the pasuk comes back and lists dafka these 3 shvatim lamar shechashuvim hem. We said no, they're important. Okay, like a makeup thing, like it's still strange, yeah. So, Reb Nasan in the Hilchos Avedo Metzia Gimel, Beis, he's teaching us that, and this Torah here is based on Torah Yud Gimel in Likutei Moran, where Rabbi Nachman is teaching us that, generally speaking, we have like three stages. There's a stage called ibur, like pregnancy, where things are difficult, right? Don't have to explain that to a sheer of ladies here, right? Yeah. Then there's like this sort of the Leida, whereas there's Torah, the Torah gets revealed, and then you have, once the Torah really gets digested and received, Hashgacha, the sense of Hashem looking and seeing me. Ibur, Torah, Hashgacha.
These are the stages of what?
Of Torah 13 in Likutei Moharan, but also like just also what he's saying is how Torah happens in the world. So sociologically, what happens? That at the beginning there's this situation called Ibur, and the Reb Nosson writes in here. He says that at the beginning of the Yichud, and I'm doubling this year is a double thing. It's on the one hand the Parshas year for Parshas Vaera. It's also the third shir in the series on Reb Nosson on davening. And we saw in the past from Likutei Halachas Hilchas Tefillah Halacha Hey, this amazing halacha from Reb Nosson, about the Shvatim. And we saw that Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that there also you have these three stages. You have the Ratzon, the Ahava, and Dveikus of Abraham. You have the Mesiris Nefesh of Yitzchak. And then you have the Zivug, the Mitaso Shlema of Yaakov, and that Zivug, that oneness that comes about through the 12 Shvatim, are represented by the 12 middle brachas of the Shmoneh Esrei, which we're going to be looking at again today from the perspective of the Gemara. But within the 12 brachas of the Shmoneh Esrei, the middle 12 of connection of Zivug, here is where you have a subset of these new three of Ibur, Torah, Hashgacha. This is what we can also see this within the 12 tribes. That's what Reb Nosson is going to tell us now. And we can map that back into the Shmoneh Esrei. And the Gemara is going to show us a sort of mainly a sort of a process from the beginning of the Shmoneh Esrei to the end about Geula, mainly about Golus to Geula. And that's how it is in Pshat. I'm weaving together a lot of things here, but it's not too complicated. And Reb Nosson is telling us that based on that Torah that we saw, Torah Pei Dalet in the second section of Likutei Moharan, that we saw that Rabbi Nachman said that Tefillah in general is about fixing the Ani Bagola, right? That the ego is in the state of Golus, and that's why when we daven, we dafka start getting egotistical thoughts, dafka in davening, and we have to push through that and have the Mesiris Nefesh of Yitzchak to lean into that and say, Hashem, I know it's not me, I'm dependent on you, and be ani v'rash, like we saw in the Shulchan Aruch, to be dependency is the one healthy dependency, total dependency on Hashem is totally good, totally right, totally appropriate. And you lean into that, and that heals it. That's Yitzchak's Mesiris Nefesh. And then you get to this place of Zivug of Yaakov, and that's the first three brachas are related to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and then the 12 that we saw in the last couple of shiurim, they're related to the 12 Shvatim. And we saw in detail last time from Tefillah, hey, we're not going to go through that now. However, what we are going to look at is from Reb Nosson that there is a sense of a process within these 12, which we can then we'll look first at Reb Nosson's sort of panimi perspective on this of Ibur, Torah, Hashgacha. And then we'll look into the Gemara's perspective, which is more a general thing from going from Golus to Geula. And that's sort of like a vessel for everything that we're talking about. So Reb Nosson says these first three Shvatim, that Yaakov Avinu gave them tochacha, right? And he rebuked them in Parshas Vaera. And he relates them all the way back to Leimenu's naming of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Ra Hashem be'oni, Shama Hashem kisnua anoichi, hapami lavi ishi elai, these amazing psukim of wistfulness, to put it mildly, pain, to put it maybe more precisely. That Hashem sees my impoverishment. Hashem hears how I'm hated. Hashem, this time my husband will spend time with me. And Reb Nosson says, and then these three Shvatim had the hardest time, and they have the hardest time in their relationship with Yaakov Avinu. Even the end of his life, he doesn't have really positive for them. He does at the end. Rashi brings in Parshas Vaera that at the end, he blessed everyone with everybody's brachas, so it got spread around. But the rebuke, it was heavy. And Reb Nosson now here is explaining this in an amazing way. He says, Shmot elu kol elu gimel shvatim morim al tchilat hayichud. They all are talking about the beginning of the yichud. Again, this is back to Torah Pei Daled and the idea of tefillah as yichud.
You're looking now at that?
No, I'm just reminding us, right, that the tchilas hayichud is actually that things aren't going so great. And this is something unbelievable that I heard Rav Moshe Weinberger give over. I'll tell you the story that I heard last time I was in Woodmere. An amazing story. I might have, anyways. It was a story of a husband and wife that were childless for many years, and they went and they went to the Noam Elimelech, if I remember correctly. And there were these amazing people, like Gewalt, Tzaddikus, amazing people. And maybe just the husband went for a bracha. And the Melech said to him, listen, you have to pick a fight with your wife. One of the craziest things you ever hear from a Rebbe, right? So he goes, so he's like, what? Rebbe's like, yes, you have to you've got to find something she's doing wrong and call her out on it and make a fight, And he goes home, and this is a major stira in his value system and doesn't know what to do, but he follows the Rebbe, finds some kind of a thing. For the first time ever in their marriage, after like 10 years, she's like, oh, like, it's just like my marriage, right? She's like, you're disagreeing with me? You're and the mamash got into, I can't believe you said that, and they actually got in like it really was. Then like didn't take long, like a day or two. This was their first fight in 10 years. They made up, and then lo and behold, a year later, baby. And Rav Moshe was talking about, I think, this thing that Reb Nosson, I'll read you from Reb Nosson's words. I don't remember how he said over like the moral of the story. There's something so deep about this. Some little irritant that stimulates makes fruitful, opens up the yichud. That's this idea that tchilas hayichud, in order for it to be a real yichud, the tchilas hayichud is hard. This is a wild thing, a spiritual thing, and it's a big chizuk. I actually got major chizuk from reading this. What's that? It's a major chizuk. Rav Nosson writes like this. He says, Nimtza sheshmos kol elu gimel shavatim. Dina's going to really like these next few lines. Morim al tchilas hayichud hainu shem me'orim v'gormim hayichud. They awaken and they cause the yichud. The ava v'chibur. So this thing of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi is not as nebuchi as we think. It's actually hechrechi, and they carrying that energy, but it's really, really important actually. They're carrying that. This thing that we're calling it ibur, which is funny to say pregnancy before the yichud, but we're talking about where the potential for oneness is hidden over, like the fetus is inside. The potential for the yichud is hidden; it's covered up. We don't see it, right? Ibur is also lashon lehitaber, can also mean to get angry, right? So af ve'evra, right? Nimtza sheshmot el gimel shvatim are tchilas yichud me'oirin v'gormin, which causes the yichud, the ava and the chibur afterwards. Bein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, mashet tchila yu rechokim usnuim, v'savlu inuim. They went through difficult things. And where does Reb Nosson bring it?
Sorry, what are you reading
From
from?
Aveda Mitzia Gimel Ois Yud Beis. I'm a little in,
Oh.
like a bunch of lines in. I want to find where he says this. So Nosson says, "Ve'elu hagimel shvatim rishonim Reuven, Shimon, Levi hem chinas haseichel shel hakibutz." They are the consciousness. Yaakov Avinu, he says, didn't yet have Torah exactly. All he had was gathering people together. Nahainu Shem HaRishonim. And these, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, were the first of the Shvatim to be born. So they're the first members of the kibbutz, of this togetherness, right? Umehem hitchil halot, and from them came this ibur, ligrom hayichud, al yadam bitchila, right? That they became the potential for a whole family when they were the first three, and then there was more, right? Which caused, so it's only through them, even though they had to bear the brunt of not getting, tremendous amount of recognition, the Adrabah getting rebuke from Yaakov Avinu, making mistakes and so on. Umachmat shekol hatchalot kashot, says Reb Nosson. This is because all beginnings are always like this. Kol hatchalot kashot, al kein betchila be'et bechinas ha'ibur, as bitorim dinim kashim. At that time, there's a feeling of din. Pregnancy, then there's Torah, which is that place of yichud, and then there's hashgacha that says, wow, Hashem is with me, right? Ki ibur bechinas din kayadua. And then he says this line, do you know listening? Ki ra'inu beinenu, says Reb Nosson, we've seen with our eyes, etzel hatzadikim hagedolim, by the big tzadikim, shebetchila be'et shechinu atzmam lomar Torah, at the beginning when they're preparing themselves to say Torah, hayu ro'im kepedot gedolot, ma shelo haya darkam bechach tamid. We saw this often when I'm on my way, when I'm leading. This Shabbaton I'm not nervous about. This Shabbaton I'm so excited. But when I have to lead a Shabbaton and we're on our way there, almost every time I'm like in this very heavy place. And I don't understand it myself, right? Because these... He said, oh, I'm sorry. He said, we've seen with our eyes that by the tzaddikim gedolim, at the time when they're preparing themselves to say Torah, we see from them big kpedot. How would you translate that? No. That my English is gone. How do you say kpeda?
There's somebody on top of you
Who's like heavy, right?
watching to make or know.
You're like overlording it. There's just like high maintenance and like very intense, and I need things to be exactly like this, and you get into this heavy place, right? Happens to me.
Getting OCD-ish.
OCD-ish, but more than that, like din, like you're strict and upset and irritable and I need things to be just this way. I can't have any noise in the car. I can't like.
Is us on ourselves.
Right? This is amazing that he says this. This corresponds to Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. So that was incredible. right? Ro'im, and he said, we saw this with our eyes, with tzaddikim. Makes me feel, maybe I am a tzaddik, even though again, not chas v'shalom. Not chas v'shalom. I should be. I live somewhere in there. Is the nekudas tzaddik. Hey, ro'im mehem kepedos gedolos, mashalo haya darkam b'chach tamid, which was not their normal way of being. They were easy-going people, the tzaddikim. But when they're about to give Torah, suddenly it's like, wait a minute, no, it has to be just like this. I need my coffee, I need this, I need quiet, I need, like you become whatever it is, dinim.
That's me, not the word now.
Okay, so that's it. Yeah. What's that?
The middles are being called upon during challenging times.
Right, you're right. But you say kol ze nimshach b'chinas roges v'din shel b'chinas ibur.
That seems like an excuse to me.
It's not an excuse. Chas v'shalom. We never have an excuse. It's just it gets harder. Fridays are also like your Shabbos is this time of Yichud. Right before there's like when you're about to if you remember the day you got married. Well, also can be.
You lost your tefillah in the forest.
Yeah, crazy things. Pitom, you have to overcome it. You have to try not to be like that. but and in fact, the effort to overcome it is what brings you into the yichud. But there's this. It's wild, right? So the Rabbi Elimelech told this wonderful chassan, start a fight. Wild, totally wild. So my ear keeps blocking completely.
Putting your
What?
not very clean finger into your ear.
It doesn't help, eh? Not It gives you like these few seconds where I can hear, and then it closes again.
I'm a very experienced ear infection person, and the satisfaction of
being able to hear, yeah.
just so beyond, and then it just becomes.
Did you try putting that stuff in before?
Yeah, I try anyway. It's okay. Finish your mind. This is part of the dinim I have to go through to give over the store. So it says. I don't know. Yeah, we're finishing. So Yehuda. So you have this first set of Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and so then Rav Manasseh Natatir and Iflosha Bishvil Zeh Be'eis Mitzrayim. So he says now we can understand Pnimius. Why do we suddenly have this genealogy of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi in Parshas Vaera? Right? We're getting ready to leave Mitzrayim. Next week's Parshas is Mitzrayim. He's Kir Gimel Shvatim Elu Levadam, but Parshas Vaera. Perish Rashi Shalom Lefisha Kantaram Yaakov Avim LeGimel Shvatim Halalu B'Shas Moisei Chazer Chazer V'Yichsam Kan Levan. So he brings the Rashi that we said before, and we said right that that Yaakov Avinu didn't have Mamish Torah Misina yet. He was Alpha Pish Yaakov B'Vadai Himshich V'Gila Torah Harbe Levana V'Frat HaBrachos HaKadosh Shabircham Shekol Dibur Dibur Hi Torah Gavoa Alpha Pichan Adain Lo Nabi Amav, but Torah wasn't really given yet in his day. Valkein Kol Inyan Yaakov B'Chinas Kibbutz HaNefashos. His whole thing is bringing people together, which is this thing called Ibur. The act of bringing people together is hard. There's you have to coordinate, you have to get there, be on time, make it happen, etc., etc. And that's called Ibur. And that's why he said, he kavtu v'shmu. Ad sheba Moshe Rabbeinu v'garam yichud nifla l'mala. Moshe made this great yichud, right? Ad shehotzi and nefasha is b'vchinas Ibur. He brought them out of Ibur and brought them to Torah, which is the second stage, which is Leda. And so therefore, the time of Ibur, Savul Yisrael, Tzaras Rav, Zebchinas Torah Tivelen of Moshe, Morasha, Kehilas Yaakov, the Gilui of Torah came through the Moreshet, what Yaakov had left them, which was this place of togetherness, but Ibur, with Din, and which is epitomized by those three Shvatim. Al-Kain be'ez Jez Mitzrayim, Yiskir Elo Gimel Shvatim, Harishanim Levad, Yehem Heim Iker B'chinas HaIbur. They're the essential, all of Am Yisrael was kind of in that place, but they were Mamish, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, were mamish that. Ata ikar ha'geula tluya behem. And now the essence of the geula depends dafka on that avoda lahamtiku levatel hadin, to sweeten and nullify that din that's in them. B'chinas ibur shehem b'chinas elu gimel shvatim alidei chesed v'rachamim, through the great love and compassion shehitchilu mashech be'et ha'geula alidei shekvar nitor b'chinas hamshachas haTorah alidei zeh haya ikar geula. It was already the beginning of an awakening of Torah being brought down, as Hashem already told Moshe the burning bush, you're going to serve me on this mountain, meaning receive the Torah here, right? But and now, how sweet! Matku divrei Rashi vehem b'psikta shelefi shekintaram Yaakov le'elugim u'shvadim, because Yaakov had rebuked them, so therefore the Torah brings them back in, as we saw from Rashi, from the psikta, from the Medrash. Ki bevadai kenu shelefi shekintaram, because he rebuked them, which is because that's their thing. They have to go through the din. They're the beginning. They're the first three. They're the beginning of the gathering of the children of Israel. Shemisham hayakol galus mitzrayim, that through them came about the galus al kein atah. So now the time of geula, we need to mention them dafka. Tzrich lezkir tam dafka ki ikar geula tolui behem lahamtika din behem, to now sweeten it from them, to work through it and bring and fix. Through the Torah that's brought down to them. It's dafka here with Reuven is specifically called out as the Bechor Yisrael, which he almost never gets called that, right? We should remember they are important. What comes from them is the essential beginning of the lifting up of the souls. That beginning of coming together, which is, it's true, it comes out first in a place of din, in a place of strictness, judgment, difficulty, constrictedness. Ein machmas griusam. Don't think that this is because there's something wrong with them. Like, nebuch, those Reuben, Shimon, and Levi. Has v'shalom. Reuben, Shimon, and Levi are the way in. Reuben, Shimon, and Levi are dafka, the way in and the way out. And the way out of Mitzrayim. Chashuvim hem, says Rashi. V'kein be'es ha'geula be'emes chashuvim hem. Adarabba. Hu chashivusam shem gedolim kol kach. Their dafka is so great and so chashuv. Shemehem ikar ha'aschala. It's through them that comes the essential beginning, shekashem me'od, which is so hard to do, right? So in terms, going back into the Shemon Esrei, right, we had, generally speaking, from Nason and Tefillah Hey, the Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the Avram is the Ahava, the Ratzon, and the Dveikus, to want to connect, which is the essence of the beginning. Yitzchak is the Mesiras Nefesh, to follow through and not be afraid of letting my ego kind of melt into Hashem, put myself on that mizbeach, lean into the dependency. And then Yaakov is mitasu shlema, is when we start to taste that sweetness of connecting. But within that sweetness of connecting, there's the beginning of the connecting, which is Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, the first three brachas, which are that, you know what? I need to be able to see. I need to be able to hear. I need to be able to do tshuva. Like we said, Reuven, Shimon, those three brachas we saw from Nasan are all related to tshuva. We're going to see in the Gemara soon. All related to tshuva. Because that's the beginning of the yichud, right? How can I have a yichud if I'm not aware of my things that are holding back the yichud? Right? Got to do tshuva if I want a yichud. Right? So the beginning of that full expression of Yaakov, of the yichud, the tchilas ha-yichud is das, tshuva, slicha, right? I am aware. I need your help, Hashem, to make me aware. I want to return to you, and I want forgiveness. I want to fix and really get back to that place of connectivity. Then with Yehuda, Hapam Oides Hashem, says Reb Nosson here in Mitzvah Gimel, that's already Shevach v'Hoidaya, that's already starting to thank Hashem, Yehuda, Hapam Oides Hashem, like Lehei Menu said. Yehuda is already, as we're going to see, he's the seventh bracha, so that's the bracha of Geula, as we're going to see. And that's already being able to see something, a little Torah in the world, right? That's he calls it already Hamshachas HaTorah. As David Melech says in Kuf Yutes, Oidecha beYosher Levav belomdi mishpatei tzidkecha. What Torah causes you is to have thankfulness to Hashem. So from Yehuda until Naphtali, remember this? They were all related to different aspects of Torah. I'm not going to go through this all right now. And then you have La Malshinim, and getting rid of the Malchus Harisha, which is the real full fixing of the ego, of the Ani.
Which one is that? The one the fixing of the ego?
La Malshinim, because you're taking
Which
down
is connected to the Shevet?
Nun, which is the one that's taking down the Malchus Harisha, because there are really 13 brachas, right? This is La Malshinim, yeah. La Malshinim is not any of the Shvatim. There's 13 brachas, because we don't have separate ones for Ephraim and Menashe. And Malshinim is to fix the negative Malchus, which is fixing the other side, which is fixing that egotism that comes in when we're davening, because it's just the tip of an iceberg of a deep, deep healing of Malchus Harisha that needs to happen. Every Shmoneh Esrei we're fixing that our royalty, our expression, our Malchus should be of Kedusha, like we said, to be and not to be. That is the answer. That there's this, it's me, but I'm a Leibish, I'm just a beam of Hashem with the name Leibish. That it's not, that it's, and Tefillah gets us to that amazing, paradoxical, incredible place, the two kruvim made of one piece of gold, it's me and Hashem, but it's all echad, right? This amazing yichud, right? So, Torah brings to the eradication of the Malchus Harisha, which is also Torah Aleph and Likutei Moran, that there is the Malchus of Kedusha and the Malchus of Sitra Achra, right? And the more we learn Torah B'Koach, right? So then from then on is all Hashgacha, all Tzadikim, and Yerushalayim, and Shomer Tefillah. Those are the last brachas after the Malshinim are all about being able to see Hashem, being able to see the tzaddikim, being able to see what's right, being able to have a sense of Hashem in our life, the full sweetness of the sweetness of the yichud that's going on in this Shmoneh Esrei. Ibur, Torah, Hashgacha, right? What we want to get to is a sense of Hashgacha. When we go to the Beis HaMikdash, you go there to be seen. Right? Did we speak about this last time? Right? Like Hashgacha. If I could just see, right? David HaMelech in Tehillim says, Sameach nefesh avdecha. How does the rest of it go? Anyway, somebody can maybe Google it. I forgot where the rest of that pasuk. Anyway, Sameach nefesh avdecha. And I just remember those three words, only half the pasuk, and the sforno on it. You can look it up, it'll be great. Yeah, I'd like to give the source. The Sforno on Sameach Nefesh Avdecha says, V'odiacha kilo shechachtani. It's a beautiful Sforno. What does it mean for me to be besimcha? Is to just know that Hashem, you have not forgotten me. Right? That's all we need to know. Right? Once you get to that feeling, that sense of that truth of Hashgacha, that's the sweetness of it. Sameach Nefesh Avdecha. Sameach nefesh avdecha. I once wrote a nick into that. Sameach nefesh avdecha. Sameach nefesh avdecha. Sameach nefesh avdecha. Yeah. Where is it?
86.
Tehillim Pei-Vav, Pasuk
4.
Daled. Nefesh avdecha sameach, nefesh avdecha. This is making out in the snow. I have it somewhere. Anyway, so now we'll jump into the Gemara for just a couple of minutes. We're gonna mamish just breeze through this Gemara, but it's worth it. This is Megillah Yud Zayin Amud Bet, where the Gemara is talking about the Seder of the Shemoneh Esrei. And first of all, very fascinatingly, we have a brisa. It says Shimon HaPikoli, Shimon the cotton picker. He's dear Shemoneh Esrei brachas. He showed the Seder of the brachas, the 18 brachas before Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, or Rabban Gamliel in Yavne, right?
Shimon the cotton picker.
Shimon HaPikoli, Rashi says Pikoli mistaker betzemer gefen shenikra Pikola. Yeah. So this lichoira, simple yid, right? That represents the simplicity of the Shemoneh Esrei. And then they say, Rabbi Yochanan Rilmer Sisatana, Me'av Esrim Zkenim, 120 Zkenim, Vahem Kamanavim Tiknu Shemoneh Esrei brachas al Seder. They're the ones who set up the 18 brachas al Seder. So the Mefarshim say that was way before Shimon, the time of Yavne. Yavne is the end of the Beis HaMikdash HaSheni. The 120, the men of the Great Assembly at the beginning, when there were still Nevi'im around, was the very beginning of the Beis Sheni. So Kanireh, they set it up, and then Shimon HaPikoli sort of set the final version, Mashu Kazeh. But it's very fascinating because the contrast is Gavaldic. Like 120 Chachamim, well, the greatest with Nevi'im, and like Shimon HaPikoli, like it's amazing. Shemoneh Esrei really has both of those. It's amazing. Like you just say it, and there's a reality to the beauty of just. You did mincha, like you just did it. Like what? I had thoughts about what I connected to it. I did mincha. I did Shimon HaPikoli mincha. And then sometimes you have like it's a beautiful day. The house is quiet, and you can do like a 45-minute Shemoneh Esrei, and just wow, every word and it's magic. It really is. It's like constellations and kaleidoscopic and gewalt. And it really has all the men of the Great Assembly and the Nevi'im and all the masterpiece of what the Shemoneh Esrei is there. It really has. It's incredible. Yeah, so amazing. Anyway, so that's the first thing where it says, and then it talks about the Seder Torah Rabbanan. The night to Omrim Avos. How do we know that we say Avos? I'm going to go very fast through this, but it's like a process. Haval Hashem b'nei Elim, right? From a lot of tefillah is learned out from that kapitel Tehillim Chavtet. A lot of dinim and tefillah. I'm fascinated. But in any case, Haval Hashem b'nei Elim, and who are the Elim? The strong ones is the Avos. So give to Hashem the Avos. Mention them. U'minayin shomrim gevuros. The second bracha and b'chayim mesim shenemar havel Hashem kavod va'oz. It's called gevura, right? Ata gibor l'olamash. Menayin she'omrim kedushos shenemar. Furthermore, in that same Tehillim, havel Hashem kavod shemo yishtach lehem b'hadras kodesh. Umara ulamar bina acher kedusha shenemar Yishaya chavtes v'kedishu es kedosh Yaakov v'esel kesel yaritzu. They will sanctify the Holy One of Yaakov. V'samichle v'yadu toei ruach bina. Those who are wanderers will know bina. Bina. So kedusha. So bina comes from kedusha. Very interesting thing, right? Bina comes from kedusha. Umar ulamar tshuva achar bina. It's interesting. Also, the Gemara calls it the bracha of bina, what seems to be just sort of a side thing. Right? We think of das or chokhmah, but bina.
What Suk has Bina?
Ve'yedu Toe Ruach Bina. It's all from Yeshaya Per Chavtet.
Oh, that's not Tehillim.
That's Yeshaya, right? We moved from Tehillim Chavtet to Yeshaya Chavtet. And then, very worth it to look all of this up. I'm doing it super fast. Umaru Lamar Tshuva Achar Bina. Why do we say the bracha of Tshuva after Bina? Tichsiv Levavo Yavin V'Shav V'Rafalo. So now we're starting to move into a process idea. Avos was just because Avos, Gevuros, and Kedushas, they were related to just how the psukim were arranged in Tehillim Chavtes. And now there's sort of beginning to be this causal concept over here, that Kedusha brings you to Bina, Bina brings you to Tshuva. When you really start to understand, as the pasuk says, also in Yeshaya pasuk Perek Vav, V'Levavo Yavin V'Shav V'Rafalo. His heart will understand and he'll return and have refuah. Ihachi lemer refuah basar Tshuva. If so, we should put refuah right there because you have, right? You have Bina, Tshuva, refuah, right? It's like right there, all three concepts, one after another. Because you have another one from also Yeshaya Nun Hey, where it says, Yeshuva Hashem Yerchameu, return to Hashem, and He will have Rachmi ve'Elokeinu ki yarbeh lisloyach, and then after that, I must say refuah. Sorry. Or no, I don't know if it says it right there, refuah, but the Navi later on has slicha right next to tshuva. So there needs to be that slicha comes after tshuva. Like we mentioned last time, there's doing tshuva on your own, but then there's mending the relationship. That's the slicha. We need the kapara, the slicha. How do we know that you should? You have one pasuk that tells you refuah right after tshuva, and another pasuk that tells you slicha right after tshuva. How do you know which one to choose? The Gemara says, "Asolech l'chol avonaychi, harofei l'chol tachuluaychi." Tehillim Kuv Gimel. Hashem has slicha for all of your sins, and refuah for all of your ailments, right? Hagoel mishachas chayechi, and then it's got geula right after that too. Chaim. So then the Gemara says, "L'meimra de geula urafua basar slichahi, v'haksi v'shav v'rafalo, ahula v'rafua de tachluim hi v'rafua de slichahi." So the Gemara says, but wait a second, what about Shav Rafalo, that first pasuk that refuah comes right after tshuva? The Gemara says that's not the refuah of sickness, that's the refuah of getting slicha, right? There's two refuahs. What's that? Because the nefesh was a goof like that, right? Exactly. So, whereas the refuah, it's interesting because it says refuah de slicha means refuah from tshuva, because the refuah that we say after slicha is the refuah of tachaluim, because the pasuk says harofe lechol tachaluaychi, so lechol v'naychi harofe lechol tachaluaychi. So in any case, the refuah that we're saying is the refuah of regular refuah of the body. Also, it includes the neshama, but the nefesh, but the refuah in the pasuk v'shav v'rafalo is specifically and only the nefesh refuah, the refuah that is coming from tshuva for you spiritually. But the tshuva that comes from for your body, that we should be said after slicha, like that other pasuk. Okay, umaru melamar gula b'shvis, and how do we know gula should be the seventh bracha? Amarava mitoch shatin ligael b'shvis avira gvua b'shvis. because the Geula is going to happen in the 7th year. There's going to be this 7-year process. I'm not going to speak this out too much, but the Gemara has this idea that when time comes time for Mashiach to come, there's going to be different opinions about how the wars are going to go, or maybe it doesn't have to be wars, whatever it is. But in the 7th year, boom, Mashiach will come. Whatever that means. We'll always be able to count back. Hashem, you can bring it now. We'll count back and it'll work. But it's exactly. But for sure, in the middle, we're almost at the 7th. Must be in the 7th. Maru lo maru fuah b'shminis. So Geula and Rashi, by the way, says, first of all, the Gemara says actually that really Ben David comes. He only comes in the Shvi'is, and how come we say it in the Shvi'is? Says it's the end of the Shvi'is, and after all, the brach of Geula that we have the Shemona Esrei is Atchalta de Geula, the beginning of Geula, and Rashi says very memorably that this does not mean the Geula of Galus. The Geula we're saying the Shemona Esrei, Lav Geula de Galus hu. It's all the little geulas we need along the way, right? Now she says that over here. So again, we've got the first 3 brachas because of Tilum Chavtet. Then we've got Kedusha leading to Bina, Bina leading to Tshuva, Tshuva being connected up importantly with Slicha, and then Refuah, the Refuah Saguf, and comes along also Refuah Nefesh after Tshuva and Slicha. And then Geula in the 7th, because it's, even though really Ben David is going to come in the 8th year, but it's Motzai Shvi, so it's the beginning, and because the Geula of Shemona Esrei anyway is not the final Geula anyway. The Geula of Shemona Esrei is about the getting us there Geula, the drink you need on the way to the bar. Yeah, I need a drink on my way to the bar. And then you have Umar Lamar Fuah B'Shmidis, why is Refuah in the 8th? Because Bris Milah was given for the 8th day, which needs Refuah, therefore they put Refuah in the 8th. Umar Lamar Birkas Hashanim B'Chi'is, why is the bracha of Parnasa in the 9th year? Rabbi Alexander with Kiesh Ta'arim Dichsiv Shavor Zra Rasha Zra Rasha V'Dagnoba B'Chi'is Samram. So we have this idea over here.
Why Shanim is 9?
Why Shanim is 9?
Or after the Geula?
It's because there were people who were charging too much in the marketplace, and David said about them, Shavor Zra Rasha, break the power of these Rishaim, and send Sova to the world. Send a lot of abundance so that they can't keep overcharging for their produce.
This is after Geula?
Yeah, and this after Geula and after Refuah. And Leos and David says Shvor Zra Rasha, it's in the 9th chapter of Tehillim. It's not exactly the 9th the way we have it. Okay, there's different ways of parsing up the Tehillim. Okay, so this one, that's a little bit of a more obscure one, the Birkas Hashanim one, in terms of how the Gemara sees it, but that's what they say. It's in the 9th because David davened that the people who are messing up the marketplace should be broken through abundance that Hashem will send, and he said that in the 9th chapter of Tehillim. So then Kibbutz Galios after Birkas Hashanim, because in Yechezkel Lamed Vav it says Am Yisrael is going to have lots of abundance, and Kikarvu Lavo, because they have come together. And here it's an amazing thing. This is a big remez to Medinat Yisrael over here, if I may say, and the Kibbutz Galios we're in now, because what it says is that Eretz Yisrael, and the Marsha speaks about this here, the commentary of the Marsha here, that Eretz Yisrael is going to start producing abundance because some of Am Yisrael are going to already come back, and that abundance is a sign that all of Am Yisrael are going to come back, right? So the abundance comes first. That's the Birkas Hashanim, represented by the abundance we're in right now in Eretz Yisrael. And then that's followed by Kibbutz Galios because it's happening and we're part of it and it's going to happen massively, right? Gavaldik. Then you have Kevan Shinit Kabtzu Galuyot Nasa Din Berishaim, and since the Am Yisrael starts coming together, there's going to be din against the evil doers. Shenever Vashiva Yadi Alaych Vetzrof Keboris Yigayich. I'm going to siphon you out and fix you up and refine you, like get out all the negative. So here you don't have like exactly psukim, but just you have a pasuk that's saying like the Gemara understands that to mean that once we're all together, that's when Hashem is going to do that, going to be refining us. Uksiv Vashiva Shavtaychi V'Shana, right? And that's Hashiva Shavteinu, right? Hashiva Shavteinu. V'kevet Nasa Din V'Nereshayim Kalu HaPoishim. So this is what we saw from Naphtali. And this is the end of the way we're learning from Nasan, that these are the from Geula until here are Torah related to Torah. And Yisachar, Zvulun, what we saw from Nasan is also the Birkas Hashanim and so on, which are all support for Torah and so on, and the Arab living in Eretz Yisrael for Chulei. And and then you have Lamalshinim, and once they fall down, Kevin Shekalu Haposhim Misromemis Karen Tzadikim. Once the evildoers go down, the Tzadikim go up, and that's why we have Birkas Tzadikim. We bring together also, we mentioned the Gerim there too, because in the Torah you have Darta Pnei Zakein, and right next to it Ger, and the mitzvah of taking care of Gerim, loving the Gerim. And where does their pride get lifted up again is in Yerushalayim, and so the next bracha after Tzadikim is Yerushalayim. Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim, Shalom Yerushalayim. Once Yerushalayim is built, and now these brachas are all from Tzadikim onward. We said are the Hashgacha brachas, right? These brachas are all the sweetness of Hashem being among us, and we can the Tzadikim get their spotlight, get their positive, their proper space in society, and everything gets all so much sweeter and better, and we can feel Hashem seeing us, Hashgacha, and have Yerushalayim, and Shalu Shlomo Yerushalayim Shlomo Avayich. The Keva Shenivnes Yerushalayim Ba David, and once Yerushalayim is built, then David comes, which also sounds a lot like what's going on today. That first you have to build Yerushalayim, and then David HaMelech comes, right? It's clear. It's like meaning Mashiach. That's this is seems very clear from this Gemara that the process of Mashiach coming begins with building up Eretz Yisrael. Just a side point. So it says, then once Yerushalayim is built, David ba David, Shenemar Achar Yeshuvu Bnei Yisrael Vikshu as Hashem Elokeim as David Malkam. They will ask, says the Navi Hosea, Per Gimel, after the Jews come back, Achar Yeshuvu Bnei Yisrael, which you could mean not just do tshuva, but when they come back to Eretz Yisrael, it says Rashi, Achar Yeshuvu Lebeis HaMikdash, Ubikshu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ves David Malkam. Mashma from Rashi, maybe there'll be a Beis HaMikdash even before, I don't know, unclear. The Kevan Sheba David, and once David comes, which is Ben David, the Choros Mashiach, Basa Tefillah. Now comes Tefillah, which is so beautiful, the last bracha of Shomei Tefillah, which is a major theme in the Likutei Moharan, is most notably Torah Reish Pei Bet, the Torah of Zamra. Most people don't notice this, but it says the purpose of finding the Nekudas Tovas is you could be happy so that you can then open your mouth and really daven. The purpose of the Nekudas Tovas is to be able to get back into conversation with God, to have a speaking role, be talking again to Hashem. That's people stop at the Nekudas Tova, but Ayin Sham, it's mamish. That's what it's about. And
you go through Shemona Esrei and you, right towards the end, you like feel connected, and instead of being like, oh man,
right
till the end, it's like, yes, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Starts with Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Like we're in our parsha now. Like starts with it's hard and tshuva and and I'm not worthy and sanua noichi and Hashem, and it was like we saw last week, like with that amazing Rashi about Esther and Malka, that Hashem should see that I have to lower myself to spend time with Haman, that itself should awaken his rachamim, and so on and so forth, and snua noichi and everything I'm going through and ach and vei, and then it opens up. It comes again from ibur to Torah to hashgacha, and then this final thing is tefillah. It's so amazing. The kevet shabbat David bas tefillah v'yosim el har kochiv zimach beis tefillah. See the kevet shabbat tefillah. And then once tefillah starts happening, bas avodah, the korbanos, which is like physical tefillah, we can lift up mamish, the gashmias, unbelievable. So never Allah saves you rotam bizbechiv kev bas avodah, bas toida. Once you have avodah there, there's also toida, as Rashi says. There chada milsa af hoida oivada avodah shel makom, who thanking is also called avodah Hashem. And then this birkas kohanim goes in between there. After the hoida, because we saw that it happened at the time of avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, and then Umar Raul Umar Sim Shalom Achar Birkas Kohanim Si V'Samo Shmi of Neisel V'Nei Varachem. That after the Birkas Kohanim says, you should put my name upon them and I will bless them. Bracha de Kadosh Baruch Hu Shalom, and the blessing of Hashem is Shalom Shenema Hashem Yivarech Es Amo V'Shalom. Oh, so then the Gemara itself asks, 1 second, if the Nevi'im said it, why did you not be Koli? The Gemara says, Shchachum v'chazru v'yazdum. Kanireh, they didn't have it quite so clear, and Shimon Pikoli had it clear. With that simplicity, he brought it back.
What's after Kol
Birkat Kohanim and then Birkat Shalom, right? So
and Birkat Shalom?
Yeah.
And what Gemara was that?
So I hope this is relatively clear. There's a lot of stuff all together. With Hashem, we see this beautiful process which one Esrei is. With Chazarit and Chaim and Shabbos. It's Megillah Yud Zayin Amud Bet and a little bit of Yud Chet Amud Aleph.
Yeah.